Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Tarot by the Book. Tarot by the Book is a weekly series on my channel where I provide a intuitive week ahead reading using a randomly selected tarot deck from my collection. And after I've given the intuitive week ahead reading for the collective, we then together take a look at the guidebook or the little white book for that deck, what the author's intentions were for the meanings of the cards that we drew, and we just do a little compare contrast with what my intuitive reading was, and we learn a little bit about the deck creator's intentions for the deck. And it's just a really great way to get to know different decks, to see how they work in action, and to learn a little bit about different perspectives on the cards from different guidebooks. So I really enjoy this series. It's new to my channel, relatively new at this point, and I'm just rolling with it, really liking it. So this week, the randomly selected deck is the Deviant Moon Tarot. So don't click away. If this is a deck that you normally do not vibe with, if you've seen flip-throughs and you're like, ew, not for me, hang out with me anyways and just see what could come through. This is a deck that I think a lot of us have really visceral reactions to, myself included. I've definitely had visceral reactions to this deck. But at the end of the day, it's just art on cards, and you might find that it surprises you. It certainly did surprise me. So as always, I will have timestamps down below so that you can skip ahead to the part where we just start doing the reading, or you can skip ahead to the part where we look at the guidebook and read those messages. So if you're not interested in the intuitive part, you just want the guidebook, no problem, skip ahead. But the artwork for this deck, I just wanted to show you. It's very sort of dark. It does have a creepy vibe. It's very shadowy. This is my go-to deck for shadow readings, but it doesn't only read the shadow. It's just that it makes it easier for me to see the shadow. And I find this for myself to be incredibly useful since I am a person that has a harder time sometimes visibly seeing shadow in the tarot. I have a tendency to go a little more positive, a little more personal growth. And so when I really need like that clue by four moment, when I really need a deck that's just going to call me out on my crap and really help me to grow or resolve a difficult situation, this is a great deck to reach for. So I do like that it challenges me. I do like that it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I think that's what this deck is for, at least for me personally. But again, it reads perfectly positive. It's just easier for me to see the negative or the shadow aspect of these cards than it is in some other decks that I own. So with that said, we're going to get jumping right into this. If you are interested in receiving a reading or taking part in the reading portion of this video, then I really encourage you to take a moment, pause the video if you need to, focus a little bit, clear your mind, really settle in, and take a few deep breaths. And as you do, maybe focus on your question. As much as I'm going to be reading these cards from the perspective of the week ahead, you can totally ask a question and use those same card meanings and card positions to apply to your question. You just might need to listen to what I say as far as intuition, intuitively reading, and then maybe apply that to your situation. So if you have a question, you can focus on that question now as I begin to shuffle. We're going to be looking at 3 card positions. The first card is going to be the energy of the week ahead. The second card will be the obstacle that we may be facing in the week ahead. And the third card will be our advice for the week ahead. One last shuffle and we'll get started. All right, the energy for the week ahead, the Chariot. The obstacle is the Ace of Pentacles. And our advice is the King of Pentacles. Interesting. So let's dive in. Our energy for the week is the Chariot. Now the Chariot is a determined energy, a focused energy, and definitely an energy that drives us forward. When we're looking at this as far as the energy of the week, that tells me that we're probably going to have a lot going on this week. It might feel like the week goes by really fast. It might be really intense from a work perspective, especially if you have a busy day job to begin with or night job. If you have an out-of-the-home job or even an in-the-home job, if you're an entrepreneur, you may feel like things are very quick moving this week, but I feel like you're moving directly in the direction of your goals as long as you stay focused this week. one of the things about the Chariot is that if he gets distracted, he veers off course, right? We always drive in the direction that we're looking. That's why if you're driving a vehicle and you get distracted by something at the side, you might find yourself swerving a little bit because your eyes, your hands or your motor skills sort of automatically follow your gaze. Therefore, it's important to keep your gaze on where you want to go this week so that you don't get veered off course. And as long as you do that, I feel like this is going to be a productive week. You're going to feel at the end of the week as if you've really accomplished something. Things are going to feel like they've moved forward in the right direction. When we're looking at the obstacle for the week ahead, we have our Ace of Pentacles. I almost said Ace of Dragons. We have our Ace of Pentacles here, and he's clutching his coin, and he's very happy. He's got this like dragony, toothy grin going. Things are good. Like there's an opportunity that comes your way with the Ace of Pentacles. But remember, this is our obstacle card. So for this card in particular, I'm really looking at it almost as if it were reversed. If you were to read reversals, this is sort of like what this position does for me, is it tells me to look at the shadow in this card. The shadow of the Ace of Pentacles is sometimes we go racing after what's maybe the wrong opportunity. Or perhaps we see opportunity where there isn't one. The Ace of Pentacles in its sort of upright positive form in this is like something is being offered or provided to you. So there's an opportunity to leverage your material or your grounded earthy world, which often has to do with money, sometimes an influx of money or a job offer or things like that. In its shadow, it tells me you might end up chasing the wrong thing if you're not careful, which echoes the message of the Chariot. Be careful that you're not grasping at things that aren't there. So kind of grasping at straws. If you are in a situation in your mundane day-to-day life, such as a job or your purpose or your work that you do day to day, whether that's paid work or not is irrelevant. If you're a mom, it doesn't matter. Whatever work you do sort of day to day, you might find that this week you kind of find yourself sort of leaping at shadows a little bit, like you think, oh, this is what I should be focusing on, but it's totally the wrong thing. Oh, this is what I should be focusing on. Totally the wrong thing. If you want to move forward, as the Chariot suggests that you can this week, it's going to be important to focus on the right things and on the things that move you in the direction of your goals, in the direction of your dreams. Again, echoing the message of the Chariot. When we're looking at the shadow of the Ace of Pentacles too, sometimes there's a fixation on looking for new opportunities instead of focusing on what you already have. So be wary of any sort of grass is greener on the other side mentality, and remind yourself that the grass is greener where you water it. When we're looking at the advice for the week ahead, we have the King of Pentacles, which is a card that I think tells us that definitely we're still moving in the direction of this very positive, productive work week. But the advice from the King of Pentacles is to definitely think about what is in the bigger picture best interest of your life this week. The King of Pentacles is somebody who's put in the hard work. He's leading his kingdom. He's got his stuff under control. His financial situation is solid, and he's worked really hard to get where he is. But as the advice card, this tells me that that's the energy you need to bring to this week, is like looking at the cohesive whole. If you overfixate on any particular details, you may end up veering off course. But the King of Pentacles advice is to really focus on looking after the health of the big picture. This means that if you're running a business, for example, you want to look at the whole, zoom out. Don't get too mired down in the details, right? Like make sure that things are trucking along from a big picture perspective. So think about that. If it's talking about your home or your personal life, it's kind of a similar thing. Make sure that like say in your relationships, make sure those things, you're looking at the holistic relationship and not sort of fixating or picking apart details this week. That's what's going to keep you moving forward. So that, my friends, is our week ahead reading from an intuitive standpoint. Let's take a look at the Little White Book by Patrick Valenza, the artist and the author of the Deviant Moon Tarot, and see what he has to say about our 3 cards. So first we have the Chariot. The charioteer prepares to venture out of the city. Overcoming past adversities has made him strong. Now he takes his experience to new lands. Now in a positive aspect, we're going to read the upright meaning. A journey to new places, boldly venturing into the unknown. Okay, so that's kind of in line with where I was going intuitively. We're definitely moving forward. There's growth and productivity this week, right? We're moving in the direction of our goals. The Ace of Pentacles, as you may recall, is our obstacles card. So we're looking at it from the shadowy perspective. So I'm going to be reading the description, and then we're going to look at the reversed meaning, because that's essentially what this card position does for us. So Ace of Pentacles should be the last suit typically. Oh, in his guidebook, works in reverse. So it goes from king back to ace rather than ace up to king. So the Ace of Pentacles. The dragon grasps the mystical pentacle, holding the entire universe in his grip. He is a being of pure perfection in harmony with both the material world and the spiritual realm. The reversed meaning is false happiness, sadness in spite of material gain, and squandering wealth. Okay, so I think that adds a little bit of something to my reading. When I was looking at this intuitively, I spoke about sort of grasping at straws or focusing on the wrong things. This talks about false happiness, which I think kind of confirms or echoes that meaning. But it also speaks of squandering wealth and being depressed or sad or bummed out despite financial or material success. So those are things you can layer into what I had to say intuitively. The King of Pentacles is our last card, and he was our advice card, so we are reading him in the upright. And we have the great king holds the silvery emblem of his industrial dynasty. Although skilled in the ways of business and trade, he focuses too heavily on material gain over spiritual enlightenment, which is really interesting because, of course, our Ace of Pentacles in an upright way talks about balance between material and spiritual gain. So the reverse meaning, yes, a swindler, corrupt money dealings, a cheat. So that didn't pull any punches. So whereas I was saying, make sure you're not focusing on details, this got right to the heart of it and said, you might be dealing with somebody who doesn't have your best interest at heart. Somebody who is so focused on money that they're willing to do something unscrupulous to get it. So that is an additional bit of advice for the week ahead that you can choose to layer in if that resonates with you. Folks, that is the Deviant Moon Tarot in our Tarot by the Book. As you can see, this deck really is a very punchy deck. I think the images in the deck are really meaningful and really poignant, and they give you lots to dig into, which as an intuitive reader, I really enjoy. But I like what the guidebook had to say. I like that it sort of gets right to it, and it doesn't try to tiptoe around difficult information or difficult readings. So if you're somebody that really wants to be able to read in a balanced way, or if like me, you really struggle with seeing the shadow, or if you really struggle with that darker look at things, these cards I think are a really great way to get your feet wet and look at your readings in a more balanced way if you tend to go a little light and fluffy. And I'm not ashamed to be light and fluffy. I think there's a lot of beautiful depth in being light and fluffy. That's fine. But I do think that this deck helps to keep me grounded and helps to keep me balanced. And it's good to have something in my collection anyway to reach for when I want that sort of heavier, deeper, or if I need to hear, it's like tough love. This is like my tough love deck for myself personally. I don't often use this deck for clients, but for some readings, it is the one I want to reach for because it's just the most on point, especially when we're dealing with shadowy situations. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoy my reading style and you want to book a reading with me, you can do that at supportivetarot.com. Keep in mind that in my professional readings, I do tend to go on a little bit longer on each card. Not always, but pretty often. I tend to throw a lot of words out. You can see I've got a very fast-paced way of working with the cards. So if that resonates with you and you want to try that out, check it out. I would love to read for you. I do have about a 5 to 7 business day turnaround on most of my readings, so keep that in mind. And if you need something in a rush and it's like one of those things where you need something, some guidance quickly, let me know that up front. I will see what I can do, but typically it's 5 to 7 days. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell to be notified of all my future videos. I do sometimes go live somewhat spontaneously for chats or for unboxings or just random stuff. So if you want to make sure you get notified of that as quickly as possible, and YouTube isn't all that fast at those notifications to begin with, make sure you click that little bell, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!